Today, I am super stoked to have with us Dawna-Lyn Broadhead, my dear, dear friend, who is on an interview with the pros. And Dawna-Lyn, you are a pro in the area of parenting. And so many of us look to you. So many of us just seek your wisdom, seek your advice. I'm really, really excited that we get to have this conversation today. So thank you for being with me and digging into the conversation about parenting. Specifically today, we're going to be talking about parenting through the stages, and we're going to go through stage by stage and what parenting looks like and how we morph and change as parents as our kids grow. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your history. Introduce yourself to this audience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And as you were just talking and saying, this whole parenting and being a pro, actually, a lot of it has to do with common sense. And we've got it. We really do. Sometimes we forget that we have it, but we do. And if you don't feel you're having common sense at this moment in time or dealing with this situation in parenting, someone around you does. So speak to them, talk to them. And the biggest thing in parenting is prayer. Entrust your children to the Lord. When we'll start in about stages, but that's just prayer for this beautiful gift God's entrusted you to. However they arrived in your home, that is a beautiful gift. And so start with prayer. And prayer is something you never let go. It's like a cord that you're weaving through the whole parenting stages. And so sometimes you're frustrated just before you walk in the room, pray. Just before you approach the child, pray. Just before you're about to lose it, pray. Ask God to help and guide your tongue, guide your words, guide your tone, everything. So I think prayer is a huge one. But you asked me for an introduction.
I'm like, you dug right into this. You're like not wasting time. Let's go, girls.
Well, time is precious for people. We thank you for listening. So I am Dawna-Lyn, as Anne said, and I am a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and I walk alongside people. I have a business called Next Steps Consulting, and I walk people through life or whatever they're going through. Probably my sweet spot is kids and parenting. I love it. I enjoy just sitting down and working with families, going through whatever and helping you get through the next steps of whatever is happening in their lives. So I love doing that.
That's so wonderful. And you've journeyed alongside so many of us, and we value your voice. So I'm going to just start at the very, very beginning to speak to those moms and dads who have just begun the journey as parents. Welcome to the club, people. How can they support their children and support each other as they're right in the beginning of this journey? Maybe this is their first baby. And what tips would you give them?
Well, you're not alone. So observe and look at other families that have kids. Look at other moms that have babies or how they're doing things. Because as soon as you become pregnant or you're going to adopt or your baby's going to arrive to your house, you start getting ready for it. And yes, we physically get ready by acquiring things, but we need to spiritually get ready and mentally get ready and emotionally. And we're actually not, we think we're really prepared. We're not completely prepared, but that's okay because we have the Lord to lean on and he can guide us through it all. But look at other people and see, oh, I like how they've done that, or I like how that works. Ask them questions, observe, watch, say to them, what books have you looked at? What books have you read? What podcasts have you followed about all this? What is working for you? What's not working for you? How did it work? So just ask a lot of questions and observe and read and spend time. God will equip you. God will give you the strength and the complete excitement of having this newborn in your home, and enjoy it. Don't think you're doing it right or wrong. There is no right or wrong, but anybody can tell you it's right for what you're doing. If it isn't working, you're feeling exasperated, you're feeling upset, you're feeling overwhelmed, talk to someone. There's someone out there either going through the exact same thing when you're going through it or has gone through it. And so don't be ashamed. Don't feel like you're failing. Not at all. I think you're showing strength by reaching out to someone and asking them. And if you need help, ask for it. If you need someone phones you up or rings your doorbell and said, what can I do? And you need a nap or a shower, ask them to hold the baby. Nothing wrong with that. If someone offers to clean your bathroom, take it. So I think you really need to be open to everything.
I mean, people aren't, realizing yet that we're going to have a pretty raw, open conversation about parenting.
Yes.
Welcome to this conversation. Now, in that stage, what do our babies need from us? Let's say that newborn to like 2-year-old stage. What's kind of the look of a parent in that?
They need you to be healthy.
Okay.
They need
Yeah.
you to be healthy emotionally. They need you to be healthy physically, spiritually, in all the facets. And so how are you doing that? If your baby's awake a lot at night, then you're exhausted. We've all been there. I remember pulling up to a red light, hoping it would stay red so I could have a nap. I was so exhausted, right? Because I wasn't used to getting up in the middle of the night and trying to keep someone alive. And so you have to make sure, if you're not doing that, the nap when they nap, the laundry will be there. Someone comes over, or I mean, I know it's different with COVID right now, but if you have someone that you're trusting that's a safe person for you, let them fold the laundry. Let them do something that they can do. Say, do you mind just running that dishwasher through, folding my laundry, practical things. So the baby needs you to be healthy and strong. So what steps are you taking to do that? Are you eating correctly? Are you preparing the meals, or having someone else prepare the meals? Make sure you're eating, make sure you're getting rest, make sure you're getting exercise. Even if it's a walk down the block and back again, you're out. And so it's really important that you stay healthy for these children. If you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, at that point, find something that will help you. Again, talk to someone, reach out to someone that's willing to help you and willing to come alongside you. And what they too need is your unconditional love as well. And so that means holding your baby. It's great to hold your baby. It's beautiful. Sing them songs, read to them. They already know your voice. Just let them just soak in who you are, and you soak in who they are. Learn their cries. Is that a cry for hunger? Is that a cry for something's uncomfortable? Is that a cry for just noise? Learn who they are.
That's so beautiful. As we enter kind of the next stage, that toddler stage of 3 to 5 years old, things change drastically, developmentally, physically, verbally. Most parents say that this is now very hard, in a different way, though. One author, actually, I think it's Julie Richard, said, our friend, mutual friend here, says that we're preparing our kids for adulthood.
Yeah.
So how do we keep this vision of like 2020 vision? I'm preparing this child for like the long haul. Although I'm in this season and it's super hard potentially, how do I prepare them for the long haul? So in the midst of all that, parents can feel very undone, and not know what to do, especially if there's multiple kids now at this stage, and there's just some challenges. So give us some tips and tricks of how to thrive in the toddler stage.
Thrive or survive? Both, right? You have to do both. Some days you feel like you're thriving and you've got this, and other days you're like, literally, I'm just going to make it through to dinner and then good night, right? So, and it's okay. It's okay to have both those days. So at this stage, you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. Following through. So do not give a consequence that is going to punish you more than them. For example, for that is like, you are not allowed to watch TV for the next 5 days, but maybe you might need them to watch a show for half an hour while you go get a shower. So think about what your consequences are. They are watching you. They're learning. There's a whole bunch of firsts. They're learning to walk. They're learning to talk. They're learning language. They're learning how to say things. They're listening to things. So you are always on. And so this is why it's exhausting. Not only are you on physically, but you're on mentally, right? And emotionally. And just always, especially if there's more than one child, you're maybe navigating some sibling rivalry, you're navigating some eating issues, you're navigating so many things, and it's a lot of balls in the air. And so take a step back and realize what's important here today. Don't take on too much. I think with COVID, we've learned, because we've not had a choice, but to really shrink what we do. And so I think that's been important. At times it's been crazy because you do need socialization, but don't take on too much for your child or for you. I think it's important to do things throughout the day, but that might be just going out, like I say, for a walk, or it might be running outside in the rain, getting all dressed up and going for an adventure outside. Doesn't have to cost money. Not everything has to cost money. You don't have to go shopping all the time with your kids. They can go and look at things. They can wish for things as opposed to want and get things. They shouldn't go to the store and always get something. If we start this at this age, then they'll understand. And so this is the groundwork that you're putting and you're laying down for the rest of their life. Again, covered with prayer, and ask God for wisdom, and ask other people and say, I'm going through this. What did you do in this stage? What did you do when my child is always biting their sibling every time they want something? Well, because it's working for the biter to bite the child, bite the sibling. So figure out what's happening. Probably not enough language. Give them the language they need at their level, which means that you have to take time to get to know them, know who they are, know what they know, and help them to discover. Their world is always open. They're looking for lots of things to do and learn, and you can help them do this. So follow through, set up boundaries or bumpers. People don't always want a boundary because we think a boundary is maybe harsh. We'll set up a bumper. They need them. Parents think, oh no, I don't think they do. You know, I don't want to upset my child. It's not about upsetting your child. It's about reality in the world. So if I set up a bumper or a boundary and the child bangs up against it, you know what? If it is a bumper or a boundary, they will bounce back. And it's okay because the real world will. So if we don't ever say no to our child, they go outside and the world says no, they're devastated.
Yeah.
Save your no's for when it's really necessary. And so there's lots of ways you can say no without saying the word no, because they do not like the word no. Who does? I don't. You don't. And so save your no's for like, no, don't run on the street. As opposed to, can I have this? No. Can I do this? No. And so an example of that is you are getting ready for dinner and they've opened a cupboard. Oh, and they see the paint. Right now is not a good time to paint. So they open the cupboard and say, can I paint? And you're like, no, I don't, I'm making dinner. Can you not see I'm making dinner? Of course they can't see that you're making dinner. They can maybe be able to smell it, but they haven't thought, oh, mom's making dinner, she's busy. They're little, they can't see that. So you say, oh, painting is really great. How about if we set up a time for you to do it tomorrow? You haven't said no, but you said no. Now is not a good time. I want to do it now. I know you do. Mm-hmm. And so I just you take the emotion, you take the feeling, and you embrace it. Doesn't mean that they're going to get to do what they want to do, but you've taken it. Yeah, it's disappointing or it's hard when you can't get your own way. And then you move on, you finish dinner. Meanwhile, they're in a puddle, maybe crying. That's okay. It's okay to be upset. If they're throwing stuff, it's not okay to throw things. So you meet them where they're at without always saying no. And part of me is like, good for you to find the paint and want to paint. That's great. No problem. We can do it tomorrow. And so then you have to do it tomorrow and say, you can say, I'm going to put the paint here so to remind us both that we can paint. Because what happens is they have a short-term memory. So the next day you don't paint and then they ask you to do something else. And then they say, see, you never let me do anything. Yesterday you said I was going to paint and I didn't get to. You're right. You didn't. We both forgot, but they're going to blame you. So you give yourself visual. You walk downstairs, you look at the paint, you think, oh, right. I said paint today. You can't remember everything. You're a mom. You have lots to remember. You don't have to remember everything. But if you give yourself cues or set yourself visual aids, like the paint out there, that would be helpful.
And I love what you're saying because you're giving us permission and then language
Mhm.
to try new methods. It takes a ton of patience and self-control. What
Yeah.
you're saying is you're actually giving suggestions about how as parents to you're coming up against yourself. You're coming up
Yes.
against your own impatience and a reactive kind of a response to
Mhm.
actually be thoughtful, preparing ourselves for that stage because it
Mhm.
feels like in that stage I'm like the disciplinary person 24/7 and trying
Mhm.
to just I'm like on repeat. My kids are now in the next stages, but on repeat and on just on like you're
Yeah.
saying all the time. And so it's there's a sense of just being like, when do I get a break? But
Right.
what you're saying is that you can actually get a break in the method of how we're speaking to the kiddos and how it's it I hear a lot of parents saying that it feels like a burden. It feels like there's too
Right.
much on my shoulders. How would you respond to that as they're feeling like a burdened heart in this particular stage?
Right. I think there probably is more going on for them. And so they're saying it's a burden, it's on my shoulders. I think let's look behind what's going on. You know what? This is a lot. You're right. And they need someone to say that to them. Tell me what's going on for you. And I think usually and typically I find there's more going on. They're either hurt by someone else, they're trying to carry someone else's burden. There might be some illness in the family, there might have been a death, there might have been just some exhaustion, some physical ailments. So you have to figure out what's going on. If it's a burden and it's overwhelming to you, then let me help you carry that. Find someone to help you carry it. And the burden is still there, but it'll feel lighter. I mean, in the word of God, it says, He will come with us, He will help us with those burdens, right?
Yeah,
And
I
so
love
we
that.
need to pray. We need to ask Him to help us carry this burden. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't know how to do it, then say, Lord, bring someone to my life that can help me do it. Seek out someone. Seek out His Word. Seek out someone that's ahead of you in the game, that survived, that's surviving and thriving in it. Another thing is Kevin Leeman's a very funny author. He has lots and lots of books out, but one is called A New Kid by Friday. That's a good one. But the other one is, um, oh, uh, sorry, Making Your Child Mind Without Losing Yours. It's an older book and it's very funny. But in there, he talks about reality parenting, which means the reality is, so I'll give you the example he gave. The reality is that you've served breakfast. Let's say you've even said to them what they want, and all of a sudden you put in front of them, it's not what they want because they're kids, they change their mind. Or let's say you've decided to make porridge or you've decided to do something. You put them in there and they're like, I don't want this, I want this other thing. So you make it. I would suggest you don't, but you make it and they don't want that either. You're like, well, you have to eat. Do they? I'll tell you right now, they will eat lunch because they will be hungry. That is reality. Okay, you don't feel like eating now, then you can, doesn't have to have that for lunch. You're choosing not to eat, then your tummy may be hungry. If you feel like eating, this is available. I will leave it out. You can, because some parents, well, I don't want to be a restaurant and an open kitchen. Then just say it's out for the next 20 minutes, half an hour if you're feeling hungry. If not, then you'll enjoy lunch. And so that's reality parenting, following through, like not letting them rule. They may not feel like porridge. I don't feel like porridge every morning. Or maybe that's the morning they don't feel like it. And that's okay. But you then have to be strong and not be offering 18 other things. And so reality parenting is a really important thing to say, what can I do? What am I capable of doing? How can I do this well? And with your husband or wife, how does this work with us together? What does this look like? So that dad doesn't walk in and go, oh, well, you don't have to hear some cereal. You're like, no. I said, no, he had to have the porridge or she had to have the porridge, right? So you have to be on the same page. So a lot of communication with your spouse on how you're handling it and managing it and asking them their input on it so that both are using the same language, both are using the same thing. So the bumpers are the same.
That's great. On to the next stage.
Yes.
Now, this is an interesting one. Let's just call it the 6 to 10. It's like not really, like it is preteen, but not really. And it's this developmental child stage, really, an age of discovery, an age of
Yeah.
wonder. How can we support our kids through that season or that stage of childhood?
Okay, definitely come alongside and be in the stage of wonder and learning of what they are. So they may, when they're younger, have like dinosaurs, but all of a sudden it's just blown up. Then you learn about dinosaurs. Let's say all of a sudden they like a certain sport. Look it up. Check out what they like, how they like it. Maybe they want to try it. Maybe so you don't commit for a 16-week thing because they may go once and I don't like it, right? But you may have a child that loves soccer, like your child. So you knew very earlier on that this was one of his loves, and he was good at it. He's naturally gifted at it, and so you probably already saw that before you even put him in anything. And that's why you're observing your children and watching your children. And so walk alongside and kind of be discovering things, see what they like. Sit down and play Lego, build things. You like designing cars? Let's go get a model car. You like painting, you like making jewelry, you like doing things, you like your imagination. Let's go outside and find some things and then design something. So time is really important to give to them at this point in time. Read with them. They're learning to read, right? Or they've started to read. They don't have to read to you. You can read to them. Say, how many pages do you want me to read? How many pages do you want? They will read in the end. And you'll know that they're following along, because if you make a mistake with the word, they're quick to help you and to tell you it's wrong. And so you know that they're reading along. Listen, read to them. I think it's a lost art to read to our children. And the books, read a book that you really liked as a child, and then look at the pages and say, and if, usually when I'm reading with a child, they will always give me the more words on one page and they read the shorter part. It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
Right? Play games with them. Let them play games, let them choose the game, and set up the rules. And what do you want to see? The other day I was playing with a child. We completely changed the rules for Uno game, and we both agreed on them, and then we played it. Right? So play a lot of games with them, find out. They will learn and play games, not just the two of you, but with siblings and with family, because it's important for them to wait. They learn to wait. They learn not to cheat. They learn what to do if someone's cheating. And you have a whole explanation on how to do things and what you think of cheating and how that works for you. And some people say, oh, it's just fun. No, it's not. Because you cheat at work or you cheat out in the world, usually there's a consequences to it. So you're not doing them any favors. So just to start, there's a book here called Parenting with Scriptures by Cara Durbin. And it's a topical guide for teachable moments. So on the very back, you would look up the word that you're looking for, that you want to talk to your children about. So I'm just quickly looking up cheating, but it's not. Oh yeah, cheating. So it says honesty and tells you what page to go to. So they told me to go to page 70. Thank you for your patience with me right now. And they use the word crafty, and they give you a verse. They give you a whole bunch of verses. Then she gives you a discussion to have with your children about that. Then they give you a take action and a parenting tip. And then other related topic was honesty. So this book, which I'm sure Anne will write down, Parenting with Scripture by Cara Durbin, is fantastic. And this is when, at this kind of age and stage, you start introducing this of what it looks like, what it is, why Scripture has it, because our guide is the Word of God. There's a lot out there, but our guide is the Word of God, and all this has to do, like the book says, parenting with Scripture. So you're teaching them that. So as you're playing games, you're saying we're not cheating, we're not being dishonest, because it's no fun for anybody if someone's cheating, right? Because you're not winning. If they're playing music, if they're taking a musical instrument, not only have them obviously do the lessons and practice, but make it fun too. Like, let's play a dancing game. If you can play the piano or you can play the instrument too, show them how you do it. Interact with them. Spend time at night. If your child at this stage is a night talker and every time you go to bed, that's when they open up,
Hallelujah. I got 2 of those.
then move up the bedtime, because sometimes we're exasperated, right? And so move up the bedtime and use bedtimes accordingly to their ages, right? And say, you know what, that's really interesting. I'm going to write that down and we're going to talk about it tomorrow. So because they would go on forever for a couple of hours.
And ever and ever.
And what they like there is typically you're sitting side by side. They like the connection. They like the attachment. The attachment starts when they first meet you. When you first meet them, that's when the attachment just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It looks different, but at this stage, it's quite a strong attachment.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned this because it's actually so incredibly rich that time. If rather than being stressful of like, oh, you gotta get to bed, you have to get to bed. I've got to go, do whatever chores or whatever else is happening in my life. And rather than making that stressful, adding those few minutes of time to listen to them, because the echo in this season is time. I just keep hearing that, like knowing that they are valued, knowing that they are priority, knowing that they are loved. Like even that connection, the sitting beside them, massaging them, the touching their head, like whatever that looks like, but giving them that time, especially at night. Sometimes I've had the best conversations with the kiddos and find out stuff about their life that they haven't talked about during the day.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the time or they didn't have my full attention. And now we're solo and now we're giving them attention, and it's been the sweetest conversations. And also time as they're processing, like so many of us do as adults, we're processing in the evening when our things are getting quiet around us. But our mind is still going. And so what would you suggest to parents that let's say a scenario is happening where a kid starts to talk about something maybe serious in that moment because they're obviously processing, rather than like freaking out and like losing it altogether in that moment, or solve it in that moment? What would you suggest? How would you suggest a parent react in that moment?
So it depends on what the question is, but definitely acknowledge that's so interesting first. So you don't judge it right away. You don't say that's too heavy to talk about right now. That's too much. That's so interesting. I'm going to have to think about that. I can see you've been thinking about it. So do you want to just tell me what you've been thinking about so that they can get it out? You don't need to pick up everything and you have to try and keep all your, like, if they're saying stuff, you just like, what? No. You have to, okay, interesting, great word, because it is interesting. And I'm not sure about that. I'm going to actually pray and ask God to give me wisdom on how to answer you on that. If you definitely know that it's not something you're going to address. So for example, a family, I'll just jump into it. A little girl said to mom, I think I like girls. Right? At bedtime. And the mom was like horrified. She didn't know what to do. She was beside herself. And so for the answer for that would be, that's interesting. What do you mean by that? Right? So the mom jumps to a conclusion and she just said, I think I like girls because boys are mean. But the mom jumped to a conclusion right away. Find out what they're saying. What are they truly saying? And she just was mad at the boys at school. And so take a breath, take a step back, find out what they're truly saying.
Yeah, I think that's very wise. It's very helpful because sometimes our reactions to whatever questions or statements our kids say push them away rather than showing, okay, yeah, my parents can actually stay stoic, I guess, in some ways, or they're listening to me and they're not freaking out. That is very interesting, especially as we're getting into the next stage of preteens and raising preteens. any time, any generation, there are so many parents that say, oh, it's different now, it's different now. I'm like, I think it's been challenging, regardless of whatever generation. But I also don't think parenting kind of comes with this taboo, like, oh, it's going to be so tough. It's
Yeah.
always going to be like, oh, now you're entering into like the hardest season. Oh,
Mhm.
you're like, I feel like every stage is challenging in its own way. But here we have preteens, so much personality, so much emotion. A lot is happening in their development again. Parents may feel, overwhelmed, but we need the wisdom and the patience and a whole lot of love at this stage. It's also, I found out, physiologically, the second kind of stage in life where there's a surge of hormones that are coming
Yes.
into kids' bodies. So there's that element as well. I think the first time is around when they're like little, like 2, 3, 4, where there's like
Mhm.
also a surge of hormonal kind of influx. So lots is happening. What do preteens need from their parents in this stage?
They need acceptance, love, patience, but they need to know, the parents need to know what is going on socially for them. And right now, it's a media, right? What is their social media platform that they like the most? And what is happening on it? Because kids are getting on there. They're on Zoom calls for school if they're at home, and they're on looking at stuff, or they're playing games, or they're doing all these video games with their friends on
Right.
social media. You need to know definitely at this stage what, if they have a phone, depends on your child and what you've decided to have it, if what is on their phone, if they're on a iPad, or if they're on any social media, what platform are they on, what is going on, who's on there with them, what is happening, what is being said. So parenting is still parenting. What's happening now, and the big thing that people find hard, is other medias are coming in. Before it was, you knew their school, you knew their coaches, you knew this, but this is something not tangible.
Right.
I can't interview all their friends on Instagram,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But you need to be on the Instagram
Yes.
if you're allowing that.
The Instagram guys. Yes. This is, or TikTok or Facebook.
Everything, whatever it is. And
There's
as I speak right now, there'll be something new.
Yes, totally. Yes.
Right? So you have to know social media is a robber of your children.
Yeah.
Screen time is
Yeah.
a robber of your children. Right? And so there's lots of great books out there on screen time, and that's probably a different topic. But at this stage, they really need to be. Now, remember, you've brought up prayer. You've prayed for them. You know what their games are like. You know what they like to do. You know their style of clothing, because they tell you what they don't like. They tell you what, and it's going to change and evolve. And sometimes you're going to look at it and go, oh, wow. And you're going to have to decide what's allowed to wear, what's not. Like all these rules, again, bumpers, boundaries, different. They're going to look different, and they're going to bounce up against them. And you are going to stand. They'll say, oh, but my friends do it. Yeah, I'm not your friend's mom. You don't need to judge what their friends are doing. But I'm your mom, and these are the rules in this home. Or these are our guidelines, whatever you want to use. So the biggest thing here right now is social media. You really need to have a big pulse on this, because this is what's hurting them. People are mean, people say awful things, you're rejected. Our society has all these filters on these things, so it makes everybody look great, but that's not the reality. And so then there's depression and sadness, and because they're comparing themselves to what isn't reality. And so this one is, you really have to keep a pulse. And sometimes it's just easier to let them go on the phone, or because they're out of your hair, or they're nagging you, or they're doing this. You have to decide like I say, this is a huge topic, but you have to decide, when does screen time stop? Because a child watching a screen up to bedtime can't shut down.
Yeah, they're very stimulated. You're right. Yeah.
There's a part in their brain, they're exhausted, you can see it, but they can't shut down. Whereas if we're reading books, it brings you down. And we fall asleep. Kids fall asleep reading books. Kids fall asleep.
This is very interesting. And as people are listening in and questions are arising, I'd love you to like write it in the chat so we can have
Mhm.
further dialogue. This is the first of many conversations. And out of this, I can already, my brain's buzzing with new ideas of what to talk about. Specifically this, I know you've touched on social media, and gaming is huge as well in
Yes.
this stage. This is the stage I'm in right now.
Right.
And so just knowing, I think what I'm hearing from you is being involved in your child's life, and those boundaries actually mean loving them and
Mhm.
helping them understand that by having those bumpers up. I think of it as like the bowling alley bumper.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
I want you to score. We want you to get to the end and actually, be victorious in
Mhm.
this life. And so I'm going to put these boundaries up so that I because I love you, and
Mhm.
they may not feel that, but if it were their choice, they'd be eating ice cream and candy all day long and getting sick at the end of the day. But I'm gonna, because I know more, because I love them, I'm going to put those bumpers for their own protection and really love. One big thing I had to talk about, and I think this is a topic that we're definitely going to need to revisit, but even their definition of friend
Yes.
is very skewed. Uh,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
would you speak into that a little bit? Because I had to have this conversation with my kids of your friend is not who you are gaming with on the other side. Oh, I don't know who that person is, and you don't know who that person is. And your friend is not the person who'd like a photo or something. That's not a friend. Like, how would you help give language? Just give me some advice right now as we're live on this.
Yeah.
How would you navigate that situation?
Right. Ask them, what do you think a friend is? So you hear what their language is. A friend. How are you? Are you a good friend? And who are you good friends with? And why are you good friends? Oh, we spend time together. We like going to do things. Okay, use the language your child is using. Ask them what they think a friend is. And if you're looking for new friends, what are you looking for? Someone that likes the same things. How do you know they like the same things? Well, we talk. There we go. We're not gaming, right? So I like to play soccer with them, like if it was for your son. I like that we both like soccer. Oh, so you're together. Oh, in person, right? So you let them explain what they think a friend is. You explain what you think. At my stage, I think a friend is blank. When I was your age, my friends and I did this. We rode bikes or we did this or whatever. What do you think a friend is? And then speak into that. And how can we help your friendship grow with this person?
Great.
Right. And
So
so
go ahead. Go ahead.
And so you ask them what they think a friend is, because you and I know what a friend is, and we know what kind of friends they want to pick, right? And sometimes it's easier just to do this. You're a friend because you like the photo. They're my friend. No, you know what? Those are called acquaintance. You know them. They're not strangers. You think you know them. You actually don't. What is their favorite color? I don't know. A friend usually knows the other friend's favorite color. A friend usually knows their friend's favorite ice cream or something like that, right? Because, oh, guess what? You've gone to have some ice cream.
Knows their full name, not like some ABC 1, 2, 3, code name. It's just like that's a big thing.
Right.
And we're setting up a platform here in this preteen age for also the teenage age stage.
Yes.
And so there's a shift at this stage, and I think a lot of parents may find attention, wanting to befriend their kids, but then
Yeah.
maybe to help them make sound decisions. So what would your advice be to that? You're parenting a teenager right now.
Right.
How would you come along?
They will be your friend in the end, and there'll be days where you think, oh, we're the bestest of friends. And you know what? My advice to you is you have friends, they have friends. In the future, you and your children will have a friendship. It'll look different. But in the teenage years, no. Always be friendly with your children, but they're not your friends. That you're the mother, you're the father. You need to set these boundaries and follow through. And I mean, hormones have started raging, but you make sure you know for boys and girls, hey, we're leading up to maybe a time in the month or a season right now where they're seem a little bit more exasperated with everybody. What's going on for them? Are they not getting enough sleep? Are they not doing this? Check their phones again. the media, the social media, what's speaking in? What has someone said to them? Go back on their chats, see what's going on, see how they've responded, see what they're doing. Let them know you're doing this. This should not be a surprise that all of a sudden they get caught in something. They're, oh, why are you on my phone? No, 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 no. When you give the phone, you outline exactly what it's going to look like in your home, because typically the parents are paying for the phone and to begin with, and then for everything after that, for the right. So it's a different thing when you're picking them up from school. I used to be able to tell. I used to carpool with a whole bunch of teens, and I used to be able to tell what kind of day they had by how they slammed the door of my car.
Yes.
Right. So you can tell, know that, and realize that's not a time to talk about it. You know what? Looks like you had a rough day. And if you ask a teen, how was your day? Fine. I always say, if you really want teens to talk in a car, just start talking about yourself. They don't want to hear. They're like, yeah, so I went to Starbucks. I can't remember what I ordered. And gibberish of minutia of your life. And all of a sudden, well, they're like, you know what? I was really mad during math class. Oh, what happened? So it's a little bit of a skill, but find out. And sometimes it's okay to have silence too. Right. You seem frustrated by something today, as opposed to when they come in, they bang the door. We usually say, do not bang the door. I know you're mad, but why are you mad? No, you seem frustrated. See, that's the difference, as opposed, because now they're mad because you've acknowledged that they're mad, but they feel you're getting mad at them too. Right. But you seem frustrated with something. I'm here if you want to chat about it. I don't ever want to chat with you about this. Don't take it personally. Don't take a lot personally. They're just putting it out there. They know everything's not going to stick. But we as parents are quite sensitive at this point in time. And then we distance ourselves from them, because then we think, oh, well, how dare you treat me like that? Okay, fine. Then I will give you the silent treatment as well. No, 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 no. No, I will be quiet right now, but I'm not going to give you the silent treatment when you're ready. But you need to speak with me with confidence, with nice. You have to be nice, with respect. And it's like that child that is mad. You can be mad, you can be sad, but you can't hack a toy or throw a toy. So you can be frustrated, you can be mad, but you cannot be disrespectful to me. Even if you're upset and annoyed with me, show me respect. And so the child might turn, well, you're not showing me respect. Tell me how you think I'm not. Because at first we want to defend ourselves. Oh, I am your mother. I am showing respect. We want to defend. How do you feel I'm not showing respect? So they feel heard. They need to feel heard. They need to have a space, a safe place where they can feel heard. And you might not want to hear what they have to say, but you have to take it all in and not react and decide and say, you know what, let me think about that and get back to you. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. Meanwhile, you go to the Lord, you pray, you go to scripture, you go to someone that knows a bit more of what's going on, get some guidance, get some wisdom. So there's lots that's going to be thrown at you that's not going to be nice, but it's okay. You're their parent, but you've established this amazing foundation. You go tuck them in or say goodnight. They might say, hey, can you sit beside me? You think, wow, they haven't asked me for that for months. Do it. Take the time.
Yeah. Wow. So good. So good. It's like, it kind of feels like that toddler stage in some weird way.
It is time. The gift of time for your children at this age. Be available. And it's tough because it's a busy season for everybody. But they will be gone. They will leave your house one day.
It seems like this season or this stage beckons for independence.
Yes.
Teenagers are figuring out who they are and being in control of certain things. I mean, they're getting driver's license. There's more independence, but yet that gift of time, like what you're saying, is precious to them too, even if they don't articulate it.
Right.
Some are great at communicating that, but there's a lot going up in here, and just having that time available for them, I think, is precious too. Like, wow, I love this. And I know that the next stage is I mean, this relationship keeps morphing and we keep morphing as parents and developing. What happens in that adult stage where there are many parents that feel a loss in this empty nesting stage,
Mhm.
that not knowing what to do, but what does that look like? How can they be supportive? Um, they're still parenting, but now there's definitely a space and independence
Mhm.
that has happened between parent and child. What would your advice be?
My advice would be, again, because you've known them all along, you're praying, continuing to pray for them. Ask them what you can pray for them. What's bothering you today? Is there anything I can pray for you? As opposed to, this is how you should do it. So nobody, right? No child wants to be told what to do or direction, be given a direction. Nobody likes it, right? And so a directive of do this, do that, and say, that's tough. It seems like I haven't seen so and so around. What's going on with your friendship? Be aware, as opposed to, are you having a fight with her or him?
Oh, such a different question.
Yes, yes. What's going on? What's happening? Oh, and people change and maybe they're hurt and maybe they're upset. Well, but you haven't set them up to come out defensive, right? But keep open communication. Another big thing is have family meals. Now, for some families, it may not be dinner because someone's on shifts, or at least plan family meals during the week where everybody talks and catches up and there is no phones and there's no distraction and there's nothing going on because you're valuing that time with your family. That's where the conversations come out. Where are we going to university? What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? What's going on? What's happening? This is what's expected from you. We're having a family when COVID's over. I'm sure families will get together. We're having a family dinner on Saturday night. How is that looking for everybody? Right? Don't just Saturday morning, oh, everybody's going, but I was going out with my friend. You never let me go out with my friend. I can't believe, blah, 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 right? Okay, it seems, and you can ask that, does it seem like I never let you go out with your friends? Because at first we're gonna say, that's all you do, but you don't. Okay, I'm sorry that I sprung it on you. It's important that we go. And so we're going as a family. Let's set up another time for you to meet with your friend,
Great,
right?
great. I know a mom that does this even now with her. She did it as the kids were growing up, and it was like Sundays. That was going to be like there was nothing else planned on that day, and they always had brunch, and that was like their tradition. And now it's carried on with the grandkids, and it's just this
Mhm.
beautiful thing. But she's created that
Right,
experience,
yeah,
and everybody starts to understand that that's a priority. That's just
right.
you as a
Right.
family.
And you've thrown it as I get older, you might say in a family text, hey, wanting a family dinner this weekend or in the next 2 weeks, what days work best for everybody? And everybody speaks into it, and then you set it,
So good. These are
right? And they learn it. Yeah. And so find out what their job's doing, who they work with at work. Find out. You lean into that. Don't make that your life. You as a parent, make sure you have things. Who are you helping? Maybe you've been through the stages of motherhood. Maybe there's a mother. Maybe there's someone in your life that you need to knock on the door and clean their toilet,
Oh, yeah.
hold their baby, make a meal, drop off muffins, pick up something at a store, drop it off. Fill your time because you've served your family well. Continue to serve, continue to give. You have so much in you to give. Tap into it. Help where you can.
So good. This has been amazing. Practical tips, spiritual tips. There's just so much richness. And we're praying that there's been like nuggets that have fallen into a bunch of people's ears and they're like, oh, okay, this is so great. I want to learn more about this. So
Yeah,
as your questions are kind of surfacing, or you're like, hey, what resources are available for me? I'm going through this scenario, write them in the chat or DM us. We really
yeah.
want to support you as parents within our community. And just
And I
as
can give them a call and have a conversation with them on the phone about stuff.
oh,
I
it's
love
so good.
I love the back and forth. The back and forth is my jam.
Um, what are your final kind of, as we wrap up, your
Mhm.
top maybe 5 parenting resources, whatever that looks like, books, apps, podcasts, articles, websites, anything that you're like, oh yeah, if I could recommend these things, I would. And I know there's a million things out there
Mhm.
and we're not going to cover all of them. So again, if you have questions, then write that.
Mhm.
in the comments, and we will make sure to respond to your questions. But just kind of general 5 resources that you found you very useful that you keep on going back to.
Right. A couple of them. First of all, let me say too, moms have a hard time maybe reading books, so do audiobooks.
Audiobooks, great.
Audiobooks, right? Well, I have one mom that every time she folds laundry, she listens to her book.
Great idea.
Yeah, so do audiobooks because you can't always sit down and read them. The Parenting with Scripture, probably one of my favorites because it's all about the scripture, because that's who we're leaning into. See what the Word of God says. So that's probably one of my favorites these days. There's lots and lots of books, and you have to decide what our author speaks to you. And you also don't shop for all your clothes in one store. So you don't take one author and you do everything he or she says. There is lots of different ones. A podcast Focus on the Family always has some great ones. Family Life Today always has some great ones. And in there has, they interview parents, they interview, let's say you have a child going through something. You can even be specific about the situation, and there's usually typically a podcast in there as well. So there's those podcasts. There's another podcast called Big Little Feelings, and it's a lot of things I've said. So they take the feeling, it's hard to do this, I know you're upset. So a lot of that, and that's for more the toddler stage. For books for teenagers, there's lots out there. James Dobson has done, and that's again, Focus on the Family. They've done a lot of them. Some of them are written long time ago. So therefore there is some discipline that you may not agree with, but The Key to Your Child's Heart by Gary Smalley is fantastic because knowing about your child's spirit. Do you know your child's spirit? And so your child's spirit's arrested and closed off to things. Sometimes we do it, usually the world does it. Do you know how to open up your child's spirit?
That's so good. That's one of my favorite books, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And so pray into that. And so that's my big thing. What is the love language? 5 languages for children. What is your child's? It may not be yours. Figure it out. If it's gifts, then just wrap little things. They'll love it. You're speaking into that. So is it quality time? Is it letting you be near them? Is it touch? Figure out what it is for your child. So that's another good one. And shepherding the child's heart is great. So there's a lot of good things out there. And also your resources is other moms.
Totally.
Look at who's in the journey in front of you. Use them. God has placed them in your life for a reason.
So good.
Yes.
So good. So good. And so grateful that we had this conversation. I know that we're going to have other conversations, and out of this already, we are, I'm really motivated to book the next time with you.
Sure.
So that we can just fire off questions like this and really learn from, you've gone ahead of us. And so we want to learn from your experience and your wisdom. So thank you so much for lending your voice to us and pouring into all of us. I appreciate it so much, and we really value you so much. So thank you for that. Yeah, if whatever questions come up out of this, we will be sure to respond to your comments. Again, if you have any questions about parenting, no matter what stage you're at, you can DM us, write in the comments below, and we will be sure to respond. Thank you so much.